Hey, what's going on, guys? So, you guys know I've been working on the Damascus build, um, and what I'm working on right now is working on the handle scales. So I got the blade in pretty good shape where I want it to be. The next step with the blade itself is, excuse me, the acid etching. And I also want to try coffee etching, so I'm going to acid etch it maybe 2 or 3 times, just to nice get that dark sheen, and then I'm going to throw it into coffee etching and see what that does. Already, um, you can kind of see the patterning in that blade. It's going to be pretty amazing, and I'm excited about it. It's going to look pretty cool. This is my first time working with the Damascus, so I want to make sure it's great. And it's going to be something I'm going to hold on to for a little while. But I'm working on the scales, and I have this idea for the scales, and I have a multi-part scale that I'm trying to put together. And it can be a little tricky because not only do you have to glue all of these pieces together, but then you have to do it twice, and then you have to line it up perfectly when you attaching it to the knife itself. So that could be a little tricky. I've done it a couple times and I've done pretty good with it, but it's definitely not something that's easy to do where you just slap it on and go. So what we have is black burlap micarta. So it's a black burlap micarta, and it just ruined everything. Woo, oh boy. Okay, so it's a copper black copper liner material. So can you see that? And then we're gonna do the jade. I know it's hard to see with that edge, but when I clean that up and it gets nice and sanded down and everything, it's gonna have that texture to it. So you have copper black copper, and then again, on the other side is copper black copper over here. And I have pretty much everything cut out. But so you have copper black copper. My hands aren't working this morning. So you have the black burlap up against the copper black copper and the jade. And that's all going to be butted up against this nice rosewood, which looks this way now, but once it's sanded down, as I knock into the camera, I'm sorry, and it gets oiled and everything else that I do to it, it gives it that nice dark sheen. So it gets really dark, especially if it's going to go into the acid etch, it gets really dark. So you're going to have all those dark pieces up against each other. And then at the bottom is going to be a black liner and a copper liner. So you're going to have those little pops of copper with the nice dark wood and nice black burlap, which almost looks like carbon fiber. So you're going to have all of these pieces and then a nice bright little pop of the jade. I think it's going to look amazing. The problem is just getting it all together. So I cut it all up, and the issue is, if you can see the burr on the edge of all these little copper pieces, and I have to knock that burr off and smooth all that out, because when you glue it, that could create spaces, and I don't want that. So I need to make sure that I got to go clean all these little copper pieces up, that's going to be fun, because not only I have this one, but I have a whole nother scale over there. So this is only one side of the knife, and so I have to do both sides. So that's 8 pieces that I have to go clean up. I need to flatten out the jade to make sure that's nice and flat. The wood is good, and this is good. The burlap is good because I've sanded those down a little bit, and the liners are all good. So the liner used to have all those edging on it too, and I've knocked all that down so where there's no edging on it whatsoever, and it's nice and smooth and flush up against the other liner. Because I don't want any gaps. You don't want to see any of the glue. I want to make it nice and smooth and just little pops of that copper color with everything else. So I think that's going to look pretty amazing. Tell me what you guys think. But I think it's going to be pretty cool. And it's something I'm going to be using a little bit more of because I do have a whole nother sheet of this copper and a little bit of this jade and a couple more pieces of this. But I have another project that I'm thinking I'm doing that on. But I want to finish this one, obviously. But I think the rock copper and Damascus with the same thing is going to look pretty freaking cool. So I'm going to be working on that today, and I'll update you as I go. All right, guys. Alrighty, got everything cleaned up. Got some relief holes for the glue and all the material. I'm getting ready to soak in some acetone, clean everything up. Then it'll be time to mix up some epoxy and hopefully get everything clamped down and glued up. I hope this all comes out as planned, but I never know. Hey guys, so I filmed this whole thing taking these out of the clamps and taking my first reactions to what they look like, taking them out of the clamps. And that whole video got messed up. It was totally my fault. I switched views and it just didn't come out right. And as you know, I'm getting a little picky with the quality of stuff that's coming out. So I'm filming this now just so you can see how it turned out. So far, everything looked good. I cleaned up the bottoms of these because there was a lot of glue here, and it's important that that is nice and flat. Obviously, when you put it to the blade, you don't want there to be any spaces. So they came out pretty good. I have a lot of grinding to do. I got to smooth all that out. But you get the idea of what it's going to look. And with the glue on the wood, you can see how dark that wood gets. Once I oil it and put a little finish on it, it really darkens the wood up. So you're looking at the dark, the copper, the black, the jade, and it's going to be a really cool color combination on those scales. So I'm really kind of looking forward to what that's going to look like once I get it all cleaned up. It looks ugly now, but I'm going to take it to the grinder here, and I'm going to smooth this all out and get a better idea of what it's going to look like. All right, guys, so update. You're getting the idea of what this is looking like. Unfortunately, copper melts. Yeah, so in doing so, trying to remove some of this material, I melted copper. So, yeah, I'm going back to the drawing board on this one because I completely melted strips of copper out of the scale. Who knew? So I'm gonna have to rethink this. I'm thinking I might be able to pull all this out and then try to figure out something else with that. But anyway, guys, that's your update for the day.